to make you feel better that everybody is either in this camp or that camp. No, these are highly intelligent, highly informed people who have a deep understanding and a systemic understanding about the world, who are looking across the system left and right and who have a compassionate view. And are trying to make you aware that this is not a black or white issue, and this is not even just about the vaccines. This is about something way deeper, of which the vaccines represent.
You know, I just landed here in beautiful Costa Rica, and as you can see, we're in the jungle, and just got word that they're going to be implementing mandatory vaccinations in British Columbia, which is my hometown, my home state. And again, I understand why people want to be safe. I understand why I feel protected. And yet there's so much that is not being seen about what it means to be able to provide a proof of health to every single restaurant and nightclub owner and venue, that you actually have to have an identification saying that you've been injected with a vaccination from one of the major pharmaceutical companies. And look at what's happening in Israel, right? In Israel, the majority of people who are hospitalized or older are vaccinated because the vaccination 4, 5, 6 months in is wearing off and you have to get booster shots. So we already know that the effectiveness is low. We already know that people are going to have to get booster shots to keep their immunity, quote unquote. How long is that going to occur? How many times are we going to get shot up again and again and again and again to keep our quote unquote immunity alive? Are we going to outsource our entire immune system to the major pharmaceutical companies? Are you aware of how much Pfizer and Moderna have made this quarter? Talking nearly $40 to $50 billion per quarter right now. Most profitable they've ever been. This is a problem. This is a huge problem. This is not a global philanthropic campaign where the countries of the world are coming together and choosing to make these vaccines free from profitability. These are profit-making entities that are creating a global need. That's problematic. And to require every single citizen to be able to have one, to be able to participate in society, is hugely problematic. And I know other people are being like, oh, we've had vaccine passports for a while. Yes, we have. Let me tell you about those vaccines. Okay? Let's talk about the polio vaccine. Let's talk about malaria. Let's talk about Hep C. First of all, they're actual vaccines, meaning that they contain a particulate part or a dead part of the actual virus itself. And it means that you're being injected with the dead part of that, and it's activating your immune system in the sense where no matter when you get that again, you'll be protected. You don't go get those every year. You don't get malaria and Hep C vaccines every single year. And you only provide a passport upon entry to a country to make sure you have them. You don't have to provide them continuously every time you go out to every venue, which means that anybody can have access to your public health data. Right? It's a big difference. Number two, one of the biggest differences here is that the long-term implications of having a government have access to your health data and to require you to provide that health data in order to have access and to have all of that digitized on ledgers. Do you see, can you even envision the implications of that long-term? Especially for countries that lean towards authoritarianism. We're about to enter an era of genetic modification. We're entering an era of CRISPR. We're entering an era where major corporations own things like 23andMe and Ancestry.com, while all your genetic information is being bought by corporations. The ability to have you be mandated to present your health data for specific things, long term, for authoritarian regimes, is one of the most scary and dangerous and problematic things that we can imagine. This is not a joke and this is not a game. This is a fundamental threat to democracy, but you can't see it. You can't see it because you're so mired in your fear of death. It makes you think short term, and that's what fear does. Fear makes you think irrationally, it makes you think short term, and it doesn't allow you to be able to have a holistic long view of the consequences of these actions that are happening right now. Right? And they're hugely problematic. We already are in a day where our freedoms and our freedom of information is so compromised. We're in an era of censorship. We're in an era where pretty much every piece of data that you have online is being harvested by government. We're already in a very scary era of surveillance capitalism. And if you don't know what that is, read up about it. Read up about surveillance capitalism. This is not a joke. Right? And if you are in this la-la land thinking that the government and these entities like corporations have your best interest at heart, you're blind. You're blind. You have not been paying attention. There's so much you need to watch and see and educate yourself on. And this is not conspiracy theory. This is not theory. This is fact. You have whistleblowers like Edward Snowden. You have whistleblowers like Brittany Kaiser from Cambridge Analytica. You have real people who have been in the systems that are coming out and saying these systems do not have your best interests at heart. Do not trust them. And this is the next level of it. Because once you get your biometrics and your health data on a public ledger, and your data is now accessible to anybody who wants it, you're being entrained psychologically to behave like this. That's the scary part. You're willing, because of your fear of death, for a virus that kills less than 1% of the population. Okay, I know this is bad, I know people are dying, but look at statistics. 1%. Okay, that's worse than the flu, but it's not the Black Death. We're not talking about, Ebola. We're not talking about a virus that's going out with the potential of wiping out the human race. This does not mandate this. Absolutely not. So this is what people are fighting today. Right? It's not anti-vaxxers. I've had vaccines. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. What I'm against is the two things. One is the ability for our health data to be in the hands of not just government, but anybody who wants to have access to it, and us being psychologically manipulated to be able to show that data to anybody who wants. I'm against that. And two, I'm against the fact that this entire system is for profit. How are you going to trust that? We've already seen the complete unscrupulous nature of pharmaceutical companies and what they inflict upon the world. I mean, look at them. Look at Purdue. Look at the opioid dilemma that they are just being sued for and almost going under. Look at Pfizer. Tens of billions of dollars that they've been sued for. Johnson & Johnson. These companies are for-profit companies that are not in the healthcare business. They're in the sick care business, and they only profit when they have every human being under addiction-based pharmaceuticals. And our ancestors have fought really, really hard for this. Really hard for the rights that we have today. And they've given up way more than we're being asked to give up right now. We're talking about ancestors who lived under slavery. Right? Not a 1% fear of death from, a marginal virus that's going around that only affects mostly immunocompromised people.